There's something about this that's fire. I don't know, it reminds me of like old Fabtech style like catalog with like the blue, and they have like a white truck with like that on there. But I used to do these like all the time, and you have to add like a tribal element to it, you know? So you get the like backwards one, and that's the actual tribal hitter. There, dude. Now, going hardcore tribal windowing. This is Shawn Cassell's Supercrew. These are, I'm biased, but no matter what, when I was younger, I think I've talked about this before, the 97 to 03 F-150 is like, there is something with this shape. This clip is not like, you know, usually there's a grill shell here with lights and blah, blah, blah. But the body line on this like, when you add big tires and fenders to the extra cab, the single cab, the Supercrew, I melt. I get a real, you know? So this is Shawn Cassell's truck. He's one of the most OG Supercrew, which is like this 4-door, really short bed thing. He's one of the most OG Supercrew guys, OG off-road guy. And he's like my big brother. So Shawn is, he's such a special person to me. I'm trying to just see how deep I want to go, where I'm like, I love him. But I do love Shawn, and he's helped me out like through thick and thin. He's been there, you know, as just like a pull your head out of your ass, you know, like kind of guy, and just always shot straight with me. And he's been like, he's been there for me. And you know, sometimes people ask, who's Shawn? I say, it's my big brother, because he is my big brother. And he's a badass dude, one of the hardest workers I know, and he's a crane operator. So this is like his shit. And he was in the Navy. He went pretty deep in the Navy, big time into aviation and all kinds of shit, and jets and military and special forces stuff. And just he's a guy's guy, you know. So this truck, the most OG picture, and I'm gonna try to find it, is this thing. It was gloss black. It had like silver stickers kind of on the running boards, skying off of a dune going this way, kind of from your shot, like 15 to 20 feet in the air off of a dune with all the windows down with like people. And it's like the most gangster, whoa, like that either hurt or you did that a bunch of times and it was really cool. And I think it was the second. So this thing's been around a long time. It's always had a peppy, nasty, blown out, you know, not blown out, but punched out Ford motor. Shawn's one of those guys, Ford and a Ford. I'm not a huge like proponent of needing that, but I know there's a lot of dudes out there that are like, hell yeah, dude, Ford to Ford, Chevy to Chevy. And I get it, and it's cool. But Shawn is that guy for you. So this thing's been through its phases. I want to have Shawn come on and talk about it because it's such a special truck. We're gonna follow this through its. I'm gonna go into it and I'm gonna tell you about like where it's at now, why it is what it is now, and then we're gonna go out and take it testing, cover all of the testing, all of its first trip out under its like new life here and its rebuild, and it's gonna be badass. So this thing, I don't need to like, I want Shawn to kind of explain the history from where it started because he had it when it was stock and built it up. But he's had some help with this thing, but Shawn's a crafty one and he will garage fab all the way through. It's traditional 4-link rear, big 10-inch 40s, big parts, 4.5-inch bypasses, 4-seater. It was completely upholstered before, done right, all nice headliner, you know, air conditioning, all the stuff. And he just had to redo some stuff. So that's why when I show you guys the inside of this thing, it is kind of like stripped feeling in the upper portions of the cabin. But there's a lot that has been revised and done to make this thing like the next level of what it already was. One of the big things is King of the Hammers. There was a incident, big washout kind of thing. The front end took a huge hit. Again, this is Shawn story stuff, but center mount. I know also Matt Atkin, his truck, he has like a red Supercrew that's a tube chassis center mount. I remember I was out at Glamis with Shawn, man, 15 or 16. Matt's truck was out there. Shawn never seen it. And then he's like, damn it. And he was like bummed out, like doing like a Supercrew flex with Matt. And he's like, if his truck's center mount, then he's like, I have to go center mount. And then all of a sudden he goes to King of the Hammers, blows the front end out. And he's like, all right, now's the time. I'm doing it. So Kevin at HM got him this kit, grafted it into the frame. So there is frame. There's probably 4.5 feet under there. There's a very crazy system of like trellising and bracing under there, like a structure, like a bridge. The front kit, like some of the story with the front kit, the upper arms, when I was doing structural steel still, working for my stepdad in Fountain Valley, I didn't know Shawn. Like I just barely knew him, where someone contacted me, hey, my buddy Shawn needs these upper arms welded. He's got this H&M trophy truck kit and he needs the upper arms welded. I'm like, oh, that sounds cool. So bring them by. My welding has changed a lot since then, but still, you know, they came out okay. And I remember like it was like really secret or whatever, because Kevin would not like let someone just get a kit and weld it or put it together. It's kind of an in-house thing. And Shawn's buddies with Kevin, the owner of H&M. So he got this thing and I had to like keep it under wraps that I welded it. But that was like my intro into knowing Shawn and helping out. And so it's so cool that it's full circle. I've done a lot of the sheet metal on here at his house, drive out to Corona, work in the garage for a day or two. Things have changed. It's taken time, but the real juicy part of this thing that's going to be like a huge improvement is the powertrain and the front end and the shock package. So I think it was a 3 or a 3.5 in the rear and same thing in the front for a bypass diameter. Now it's a complete trophy truck shock package. So 4.5-inch bypass in the front, 4.5-inch bypass in the rear, 3-inch coilovers with a H&M trophy truck center mount front end grafted onto the front of this thing. Stretch the wheelbase forward a little bit, custom clip to match the wheelbase. Cycling big travel is probably 24 inches. And then powertrain. So powertrain is a patent small block Ford dry sump system. I don't know the exact, but I know it's like a 450 something cubic inch small block Ford. Big, high revving, nasty thing. Shawn's also gone and done all the wiring and plumbing on this on his own. It's pretty impressive. It's more than I can do. And the guy, you know, if there's a definition of like a hardcore DIY dude, it's Shawn, and he does a damn good job at it. These things stay together and they're reliable, and it's badass. For a dude that just runs cranes, he fucks. So it's got a custom dash in there. We can get into that. But the front end, you'll see like it's all the big shit. He's got, I mean, like one of the cool things too, and love it or hate it, but the chrome plating on the upper arms and on the center link and on the tie rods, I'm pretty into that. So it's just all big parts. Shawn's brought it to us to do little appointments and things that kind of need to be fixed. Like the bumper had some revising. Sometimes you got to just kind of try to be appropriate. The bumper needed to be redone and tastefully at that and level. So that's one thing we've already gotten a hold of and done. We're obviously just going to put fender washers on here, but we have a valence. We have 1 3/4 tube rolled with compound bins on it to kind of grab it, and then capped. There's some good details on here we can go over. And then stuff on my list still is to redo the rear panels, redo the mechanism to make this a flip hood, which will flip forward. You've seen that before. It's kind of a typical off-road thing. I wish they opened the other way, but that's for a different build. And then some appointments in the dash that just need to be repaired or kind of made right. So this thing's badass. It's a sick truck. It's gonna do good. It's kind of a big, heavy monster. And I look forward to going out and riding in it and testing in it. And Shawn's a buddy, so I'll kind of grow older with this thing in my life, just with Shawn. One more thing I wanted to cover. We got the clip off. Well, let's cover, I see 3 right now. 2 air conditionings, 3 AC condensers. That's how you know Shawn likes to party. All stacked in there. The cool feature that's like, just something I haven't seen is it's a dry sump. So to prime the system, he's got part of a drill enclosed in here with a socket going right to the Peterson pump, and the primer is on a remote switch, so he can do it either on the instrument panel or on his phone on the Switch Pro, which is pretty sick. Also, the charger for this thing to just be on a trickle is just really easy right here. So if it's in his garage, he can just plug in right there and be done and just charge this thing. So there's just a lot of like very thought out smart things here. And I think a lot of with Shawn is he learned the hard way right off the bat, or he just knew what he wanted and just laid it down. Pretty badass. All right, interior. This thing, you can see like the door bar system. It's kind of like a gnarly, it's not terrible to get in and out of, but the feeling of safety is definitely there. It's kind of a whole system that runs like a big truss all the way through from A pillar to C pillar. There's another system on the bottom of the truck that's just like that. So this thing's, gosh, probably every bit of 7,000 and change weight-wise. It's not terrible. It's not unheard of these days, but it's definitely strong and safe. So he's got a custom dash in here. We have a panel in the middle that we're going to be redoing. Running all Holley system, fuel injected, headsets. So just like a lot of these trucks, there's 2 air conditioning systems. It's not up to par to just do one, especially in like a 4-door cabin space. The square footage, especially running with an engine that's practically by your knees and producing lots of heat and lots of power. It's just, you don't get enough, especially in the desert. You need 2 air conditioning units. It's just kind of a standard now. So there's a big Vintage Air Gen 4 sitting on the co-driver side, hidden behind the dash. And then in this center console, there's another trunk unit. So this will have 2 air conditionings, typical, but it's the dialed setup. And this thing is gonna look very tactical and kind of military aviation-like when Shawn's done with it. It's always how it goes. I've been in the other truck at night. It's all red lights like you're in a submarine, and just there's switches and controls, and you're like, okay, yeah, you're a military guy, dude. Like, he's made it like it's a special forces feeling inside, and it's sick. It feels like you're safe, and there's gonna be guns popping up in the front and taking people out, and it's cool. So I'm like really excited for this thing. I'm gonna take care of Shawn with whatever small appointments he needs to get done. Like I mentioned before, there's some finish work in here. This will get upholstery, but there is some finish work in here that just seems, I have some concerns about, even adding upholstery. So I'm gonna just make sure it's right. And then we just gotta do some panels in the rear. is a running driving truck right now. It hasn't been dynoed, hasn't been like tuned, but it starts. You know, all the systems are a go. So it's just like this finish work to make it tidy before it gets upholstery and paint. I think we're gonna send him off to Merino over by my house in the valley. That's another guy I want to cover. That's the paint guy I've been using, and just like I'm super proud of how good he's done on everything, and he's gonna be like the lifer guy for now, at least. With the panels on the rear, there's some stuff here. I don't know what this was, or if this was lines or something coming out, but we're just gonna redo the panels in the rear and spice them up a little bit, close up some of the gaps, some of the stuff on the rear C-pillar area, like going into the back of the body. Just, you know, there's a couple revisions that just need to be made and tighten it up just to add that, like, just that last level of finish work to beautify the thing. So we'll talk to Shawn. We'll get the whole story on this thing, and we're gonna follow this thing all the way to Barstow and go fucking in it. This isn't a full build. It's really just a help Shawn out thing. Like I said, it's my big brother, so we're gonna follow this thing through. The next updates, we'll have everything done. So we'll just do like one more with all the appointments done, and probably do a separate on testing it. I definitely want to like get Shawn in here, sit down, hear the story like we talked about. But this is my kind of cup of tea here. I mean, it's a big, heavy, expensive, big part truck, but these things are so awesome. And once you get them dialed, like just a fine-tuned machine, they're a good time, and they go through all the big holes, and you have the air conditioning on, and you got a sealed cab and music, and it's a good time. So I'm really looking forward to this thing. Again, if you see something on here that you want to see more of or have me talk about, then let's do that. Please like, please subscribe. It helps us. Just do it. Thank you.